Hello there. Are you sure you're in the right place? See the name on the door? This podcast is Spine Chillers and Serial Killers. Surely you don't want to come in here. You do. Well, I must warn you that things are pretty adult in here. Absolutely no children are allowed. Obscene language, shocking and horrendous stories to chill you to your core, and terrifying tales that'll keep you up at night. The ladies inside aren't quite right. Lovely and hilarious, but very strange. Still want in, do you? Well, you'll get what you're here for. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to this week's Spine Chillers and Serial Killers. I'm Tash.
I'm Emma.
And I'm Becky. Hello.
Hello.
You're right.
I'm alright, thanks. I found something out recently. Sorry, I'm just going straight in.
Do it.
What was it?
I also don't know if I've already told you this because I keep telling everybody this.
Go on.
So like I turned 34 the other week.
You've already told us this.
Oh yeah.
Shit.
It's about your age.
Fuck's sake. Can you see how my mind is still blown by it though?
Yeah.
I still can't get over it.
That was like 2-3 weeks ago as well.
I keep telling everyone my mind is absolutely boggled.
Oh, bless your heart.
Yeah.
So what was it that, like, I'm going to be 42 this year, but that actually means I'm on my
43rd year.
43rd year. So
Yeah.
when I turn 42, I've been alive for 42 years.
42 whole years.
Whole years, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then straight away you start your 43rd
is it that?
year. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Hang on.
mind
Is that right?
blown.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, because when you're
that's
one,
right.
you've already spent a whole year alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just can't get over it.
I don't know, it doesn't blow my mind because I just think that's how birthdays work.
Boy, it blows mine.
What is blowing your mind about it?
Because surely we should be... Well, I don't know. Anyway, it still blows my mind. I still can't get over it. So look forward to talking about it in 2 weeks' time again.
I found something really sweet out. I thought it was very, very cute.
Go ahead.
Some bigger spiders.
Yeah.
What? Spiders and cute.
I was going to say, never has a sentence felt so wrong.
Should I have done a trigger warning for arachnophobes? Probably
Too late.
not.
Spider.
Some spiders, like larger spiders, like
Tarantulas?
no, well, yeah, but look, they don't have to be that big, but not like the little money spiders.
But like, woo. Yeah.
Yeah, they the ones that've got a bit of girth to them,
I know. The ones that come out from September to October.
Like the house spiders that are massive. Yeah, that kind of size.
The juicy ones.
Yeah, they've got... how do you know they're juicy? Are you a spider murderer?
Are you not?
No. I've actually got a spider catcher that catches them and releases them unharmed outside.
Of course you fucking do. Of course you do.
That sounded so judgy, Becky. Of course you fucking do, you fucking animal lover.
Yeah, how dare you like things?
How dare you not want to murder stuff all the time, twat.
I either try and flick them out the door or I try and put them in the whole cup or Tupperware and then a bit of paper underneath. I do chuck most of them out if I can.
I suck them up with the Hoover.
You suck them up.
Well, they can live in the Hoover bag.
Cute facts. Are we going to move on from how we dispose of them?
Some spiders adopt tiny little frogs to live with them. So that the tiny little frogs, you know, the tiny, teeny little frogs you can get.
I do know, yeah.
They live with the spiders to eat.
Tash doesn't believe you. Look at her face.
No, she doesn't.
She's like, she speaks the bullshit.
I think it's a joke.
It's not a joke, and it is April Fool's Day. I've missed an opportunity. No, they let the little frogs live with them. The little frogs catch all the little bugs that the spiders are too big to eat because it protects their eggs, because the little bugs would have gone and attacked the spider's eggs. Basically, little tiny frogs are a spider's equivalent to us having a cat. And I thought that was very cute.
But are they chilling in its cobweb, or they just pop by for a snack?
It's like spiders that live in more of a funnel kind of situation than in a web.
Oh, why did the word funnel make me shudder?
Funnel is a bit weird. Does it make you think of a vagina? It does me.
It kind of does, but I was thinking of a cobwebby one.
It doesn't make me think of a vagina.
Funnel? I don't know why. I said
If your vagina is like a funnel, I'm worried, because your vagina should be...
Like a mouth, is
your
what
vagina's
you
like
just
a
did.
sock, isn't it?
my vagina's like
Don't say my vagina's a sock.
Yours is a sock.
Mine is too.
What do you mean it's like a sock? Is that why guys wank in socks?
The
Yeah,
conversation
like
is
a sock, isn't it?
degenerating here. No, I don't like the word sock.
Because it's not constantly open. Your vagina's not like... It's not
Well, I don't
constantly
know.
got something in it. It's like a sock. So then when something... So it's like this.
I don't just.
But a
So your
sock
vagina's
is
like
dry.
And then something goes in it, and then it takes whatever it needs to
We've
take
got
in
visuals.
It bites
We have
down.
visuals.
It's true.
Okay.
Okay.
How is that like a sock? Socks don't close up when you haven't got a foot in them. They're just like baggy
Yeah,
and
they're
empty.
just baggy and like flat. So that's what your fanny's like. So your vagina is like... So imagine my hand. What? Let me get a sock.
God's sake! I don't know what a sock looks like. I don't want to know. This is a podcast. People are not going to see this. They're just going to be like, what's going on?
I just wanted to tell you a cute fact about spiders.
So your sock is like that, isn't it?
That's a sock.
So
yeah.
that's when your sock is not filled. So
That's
there's a
when
gap
your
there,
sock is
which is
not
where your vulva is.
vulva. Yeah.
Sex
And
ed
then
by
you
Tash.
put penis or other thing inside it.
Foreign object.
Tasha's got some, I don't know, face cream that she's now inserting into a sock.
And then it becomes
The shape of the face cream.
the shape of the object that's going inside your vagina.
Okay.
I can
And then you
kind of
take
see.
it out.
And it flops.
So then
And then
it
it's back
flops
to being-
shut.
Vagina shape again.
Flat and loose.
Well, it's not loose, is it? It's just there.
Don't know, a sock's pretty flappy.
Yeah, but it's just an example. It's not like to scale or anything, babe.
Oh, isn't it?
And so that is why. When blokes go, "Ooh, she's got a baggy fanny," not true, because it's a muscle, so it just goes back.
Yeah. That's just.
You've got a small willy.
You tell them. So yeah, did you want to add anything about the fact that spiders have cats that are small?
I don't
frogs?
believe you. I don't believe you. Okay.
It's true. I'm not.
Yeah, it's
making
fine.
It...
Okay, well, I'll wait till Carabeth can confirm it then.
Yeah, our podcast.
Fine. There's no joke. There's nothing.
Okay.
It is April 1st, though, so I will give you that. Actually, my kid's school did something really mean today.
Poisson avril.
Yeah, it is. In French, April Fool's is April Fish.
Fish.
Yeah.
Or Fish April.
Fish of April.
Yeah, and they all stick fish to each other.
I got a fish stuck on me. One of Maddie's little mates did it without me looking. Next thing I know, I've got
That's the
fucking
point.
fish.
Well done them.
Did you kick them?
Yeah, I did.
No.
Fucking hell. Saves a spider, kicks a kid.
That's how I was just seeing what she'd come out with. Let's save a spider, kick a kid. She didn't really, I'm sure.
No, they told Maddie that they were getting a new student in the afternoon. Somebody who'd moved from a bigger town, and they were coming to her little country school. Like, there's like 20 people in her class. Like, in her classroom. It's a tiny school. So she was all like, oh, we're going to get a new friend. It's an April Fool's joke. I was like, this is not fucking funny.
That's so weird.
It's just not funny. And I had a feeling.
That's such a weird one.
I was like, Maddie, are you sure? Is your teacher not, like, playing a prank? And she was like, well, no, because it's, you know, why would she? But no, it was a prank.
Yeah, why would she, Maddie? So I've got some quite big news, actually.
Go on, then.
Well, the closest town to me
Yeah.
has been voted the best place to live in England.
That's because you're there, babes.
That's what I thought. The thing that makes me laugh most about this situation is that obviously that keeps getting circulated on the local like Facebook groups and people keep talking about it. And then every time you look at the comment sections are always the best, aren't they? You then get every Tom, Dick and Harry that live in the town moaning about the dog poo, about the parking, about the fact that new houses are being built. Like, all those things only happen in our town.
Yeah.
Like, there's dog shit in every single town.
There shouldn't be. Pick up
There
your dog
shouldn't
shit.
be, but there is. There's no parking in every single town. And everywhere is having new houses built. Like, this is not just something that's happening in our local town. I just find it wild. It just really, really makes me laugh.
Well, people are just never happy.
Never happy. I think lovely that some person decided that our town is the best town in the UK to live in. I think lovely.
It's nice. It's nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'll always get people complaining. Like, I imagine somebody who has tuned in to listen to this podcast expecting the last part of the vertical plane and a true crime story from Becky is a bit gutted that they got vagina sock.
I don't think they'd be gutted. I think they'll be ecstatic.
If there is a lady that I follow on Instagram, and this is who I learnt it from. She's a doctor, and her name is Maddie Lucy, I believe. I will check that. And that was who I learnt it from. She's a doctor.
Oh, well, there you go. Be grateful we gave you that information. Should we get to the stories, though?
Her name's Maddie Lucy Dan. So if you don't believe me about vagina socks, you can look that up on her page.
I believe you, 100%. You don't believe me about spider frogs.
No, I don't. Anyway, true crime.
Let's go.
Paranormal activity. Murder.
Is it me to start, Bex? I think
I
it
think
might
so.
be. For the last part of the vertical plane.
Let's go.
Who remembers what happened last week? Or last recording? Who remembers what happened?
I'd like a refresh.
Yeah. Last time on Breaking Bad.
Okay, so they'd all been panicking because Lucas had been carted away, right, and put in a dungeon for witchcraft for using the light box to communicate with the people in the future. They thought he'd been executed, and one of his mates had started using the light box and was getting really leery with them, going, oh, it's all your fault, kind of stuff. This does not look like it's ringing any bells with you two.
Sorry, I was looking for vagina sock. Go on.
And then we get 2109 who makes an appearance. Do you remember the people from the future who were all very cryptic?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm back in the room.
And then it turns out that Lucas isn't really dead because if he dies, then nobody can use the light box in his time, whatever. So he gets released. He comes back home and then he's like, hey, I'm home, but I'm really tired.
Honey.
And that was where I stopped last time.
Yeah.
So Lucas, or rather Thomas Howardin, because we did find out that his real name was Thomas Howardin, eventually returned home, physically and emotionally shattered by his ordeal. He wrote that he needed to rest. His words were weary and resigned. But while things seemed to settle slightly in Lucas's world, the cottage in Doddleston remained anything but peaceful. The poltergeist activity escalated in a new, more aggressive form. Small pieces of metal piping began to appear out of nowhere and were getting hurled through the air with terrifying force. They struck the walls so violently that they left dents and holes in the wall. And worse, they struck Ken and Debbie, leaving bruises as evidence of a force that was no longer content to simply rearrange furniture or leave cryptic messages. As if poor Lucas hadn't been through enough, dragged off to prison, accused of bloody witchcraft, he gets home just trying to rest and piece himself back together, and what happens? Some guy called Grosvenor starts sniffing around, acting like the place is already his. And it turns out that while Lucas was locked up and everyone thought he was as good as dead, Grosvenor had apparently been promised that he would be getting his hands on Lucas's land. And now, even though Lucas is very much not dead, Grosvenor is still hanging around like the property's going to be his. So Lucas tells Ken and Debbie about this charming individual and says that he's given him an ultimatum, that he's got 2 months and then he's going to take over the house and the farm. He's just going to move in, whether Lucas is there or not, which is pretty fucking weird. So, yeah, as if Lucas hadn't been through enough, he'd lived in that place all his life, he'd survived a blinking witch trial, and now he's got some land-grabbing chancer waiting to boot him out of his own home, so Lucas really cannot catch a break. Do you remember the SPR, the Society for Psychical Research?
Yes.
So there's 2 researchers on this case, John and Dave. And so far they haven't had any communication with the computer whatsoever. Like, they just can't seem to get a message through.
It happens, doesn't it?
Well, I think it's probably only happened the once here in this story, but yes. Once Lucas is free, he's like, I'll speak to him, I don't care. And Ken's like, yes, finally, somebody's going to prove that I'm not full of shit and that this is actually something that's happening. But, of course, things didn't go to plan. Every time the researchers were there, waiting eagerly for anything to appear, the computer screen stayed stubbornly blank. Not a peep from Lucas, nothing from 2109, just silence. Then one evening, Ken happened to catch a brief flash of a conversation. Not between him and Lucas, but between Lucas and 2109. Lucas was absolutely livid, demanding to know why 2109 had been deleting his messages to the investigators. He wanted to help, he wanted to be heard, and 2109 was just wiping his words before they could be seen. And what was 2109's excuse? They told him he wouldn't understand, but he mustn't communicate with such men. No explanation, no compromise, just that familiar condescending tone they always used. Honestly, by this point, 2109 were really starting to come off like a bunch of sanctimonious, manipulative twats, pulling the strings behind the scenes and deciding who got to know what and when. And as usual, they knew best.
Someone's got to know best, though, haven't they? Hate's gonna hate.
You're just team 2109, right?
Well, someone's just got to know. Do you know what I mean? Like,
but imagine how frustrating. Ken and Debbie are desperate for the researchers to get validation. Lucas is willing to give them validation, but 2109 is like, nope.
Well, yeah. They know something we don't know, though, don't they?
They know quite a lot that we don't know, apparently.
So it would seem.
You're going to like it now. Gary.
Oh, Gary, hello.
Hello, Gary.
Hello, Gary.
Gary Rowe entered the story like something out of a spy thriller. Only this time the mystery wasn't international espionage, but poltergeists.
It's not quite the same, is it?
No, it's not the same.
Not quite as sexy.
No. Time anomalies and interdimensional emails. His name appeared out of nowhere in a message from 2109, who bizarrely provided not only his full name but his phone number, stating, "There is a brilliant researcher, a ufologist. We know you don't like the word." This is a quote. "His name is Gary M. Rowe. He can help you with a couple of your problems." Neither Ken nor Debbie had any idea who Gary was, yet 2109 insisted he be contacted, adding that Peter should be the one to call him. Peter the English teacher.
Oh, yeah. This is all Peter's fault, isn't it, for bringing the computer?
No. Ken brought the computer.
Wasn't it Peter who lent it to him?
No, he borrows it off school.
Fair enough.
I'm glad you've been following the plot.
I don't even follow the plot to my own life, hon. Like, give me a break.
There is a really astonishing amount of characters to this very complicated
so many characters.
So many people.
Imagine if this was a play. They wouldn't name them all. They'd just call them man 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Well, and without any disrespect to anybody, but it doesn't help that they're all called very popular common names.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got at least 5 Johns.
It would be nice if we had like a Jeremiah.
Yeah, a Dave, a Gary.
Yeah.
You know?
An Elijah.
We ain't got any of that.
No. Apparently I only know biblical names, but...
Apparently. So, 2109 is telling everybody, Gary, you need to get in touch with Gary. Gary knows his shit. Here's his phone number. All. Peter's got to be the one to ring him. So, sufficiently weirded out, but intrigued, Ken made the call, so he didn't get Peter to do it.
Why didn't they follow the rules, the instructions?
Well, fuck 2109. They're so bossy. So, this is weird. The phone number was correct for a guy called Gary Rowe, who was into UFOs.
Okay.
So Gary arrives, and he arrives all full of confidence. He's impeccably dressed, eerily composed, as though the fact that the computer, had just got his name and phone number out of thin air and said, "This is the guy you want," was completely normal. He came armed with video and audio surveillance equipment set up around the house and asked pointed, knowing questions that suggested he already knew more than he was letting on. From the moment he walked in, Gary didn't need convincing, he was already on the same page. Then things took a strange turn, like the rest were completely normal. So then things took a stranger turn. 2109 began sending private messages addressed only to Gary.
Why are they so obsessed with Gary?
I don't know.
Well, he's got a great name, for a start.
Yeah. So the messages would arrive with instructions to only be read in private by Gary. Ken and Debbie, who had been at the centre of the phenomena for months, suddenly felt like outsiders in their own haunting. It does feel a bit like Gary's just turned in and like, off you go, I'll deal with the weird
a little
shit
bit.
All right, guys.
When questioned about what 2109 had told him, Gary remained frustratingly vague. At one point, he simply said, "If you were further along the road, I might be able to explain." Then, just as abruptly as he'd arrived, Gary left. He gave no big revelations, no final conclusions, just a cryptic reassurance that they shouldn't worry.
What does he mean further along the road? Like metaphorically or?
Yes, if they were further, not like if their house was a bit further down the street.
I'm sorry, sometimes I'm really stupid.
No, you're not.
And it's too late.
You're not stupid.
What do you mean? Metaphorically? Or literally? They live 2 doors further up.
They'd have all the answers. No, it's metaphorically. Yes, so Gary's basically just useless. And just goes, "You shouldn't worry." And that was that.
All right, guys.
Not long after 2109 sent a message confirming that Gary Rowe has and will serve his purpose. As though his role in the experiment had been completed, his mission finished. Gary's involvement was brief, enigmatic. Is that a word? Enigmatic?
I don't know what that means either.
Mysterious.
I've known men like Gary in my life.
So, brief.
Brief, in and out. Don't leave you with much information and fuck off.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what he did.
Arguably, sometimes how I like them.
He came, he saw, he surveyed, and then he vanished.
Yeah.
Leaving Ken and Debbie with more questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the unsettling feeling that they were part of something far bigger and far stranger than they'd ever imagined.
I feel the same.
After months of eerie messages and mounting frustration, John and David from the Society of Psychical Research proposed a structured, rational test. If 2109 truly was an entity from the future as it claims, then it should be able to answer questions that Ken and Debbie didn't know the answers to. Logical.
Yeah.
So the investigators devised a simple yet brilliant challenge. They would write 2 highly specific mathematical questions, display them on the computer screen for 40 minutes, and then delete them. 40 minutes is an annoying... that annoyed me. It's like,
really
why...
weird amount.
It is. An hour, okay?
Half an hour.
Half
15
an hour.
minutes.
Yeah, or even 45 minutes.
45
3/4
minutes.
of an hour.
Yeah, why 40? Round it up! For fuck's sake.
I agree, though. It's like 50 minutes. That would have been worse. 50 minutes. Oh, God, I'd slap someone.
Yeah.
Oh, so annoying. Maybe they'd put a wash on and it was a quick 40-minute cycle.
Maybe.
Washing all the
Away
socks.
somebody else's house. Just like, we've turned up, we're researching the poltergeist and the computer shit, but we're just going to wash our pants. Is that all right?
Have you got a quick 40-minute wash?
You never know when the moment takes you.
Oh
Dear. Anyway, 40 minutes. So they leave the questions on screen for 40 minutes, and then they delete them before Ken and Debbie could see them. This meant that only an entity with knowledge beyond the room or time could respond accurately. The 2 chosen questions were not easy. One concerned Fermat's last theorem, a centuries-old puzzle unsolved until the 1990s. So it's a mathematical problem that, at the time of the story, hadn't been solved.
I mean, I got 3 in maths. It's not me who's going to...
3 out of...
20, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not me who's going to solve the problem, is it?
Well, no, darling, because, I mean, these were like the biggest mathematical geniuses of the time couldn't solve it. So.
No.
So the first question is about Fermat's last theorem. And then the other question was related to pi, likely involving its infinite, non-repeating decimal proprieties. An enigma still confounding mathematicians. So there we go. It's
My
hard.
mind's blown with just those words, to be honest.
These weren't questions one could guess or bluff their way through. And remarkably, 2109 responded. But this is what they said. Yes, both questions can be answered. One directly, the other requires an understanding of a new conversion formula. So far, so good. But then it came the twist. Before we tell you, do you swear to grant us our wish? Now, they wouldn't elaborate on what the wish was, and it's a bit of a random thing to say, because you're like talking about, futuristic mathematical stuff, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, will you grant us our wish? Like some kind of Disney villain, do you know what I mean? It's a bit odd.
Very strange.
And they don't elaborate on what the wish is. Instead, they demand faith before offering proof. A classic reversal of the scientific process. The SPR wanted the evidence before commitment, and 2109 wanted commitment before evidence. Then their tone shifted from enigmatic to scornful. Why should we give it to someone who blankly refused the answer before? We aren't here to impress. I don't know what they refused before. I don't understand what they're on about. They directly targeted David Welch, who's one of the researchers, because he was very sceptical about the whole thing. If you had tried a little harder to understand this, you would have gained much. Instead, you chose to argue. The implication was clear. 2109 believed themselves to be beyond human comprehension, and they weren't going to jump through hoops to prove themselves to anybody who didn't already believe. Then came the most unsettling statement of all. To lose your soul is to lose all. But surely this would not bother David. Call our bluff.
Yeah.
So do you understand what's happening? Tash, do you?
I'm trying so hard to understand.
2109 is basically saying, we'll give you the answers, can we have your soul? Because you're so sceptical, it shouldn't bother you because you don't believe us.
Valid point.
So just give your soul over to us and we'll tell you the answers. Call our bluff.
Yeah.
Maybe it was metaphorical, maybe it wasn't. Ken and Debbie and everybody else was left shaken. What had started as a simple test had now twisted into something darker, a philosophical challenge. If understanding the truth meant giving up your soul, whatever that meant, was it even worth it? David, who didn't believe any of it, he refused.
What? Pussy, go on.
Pussy.
Pussy.
Fucking hell, David. He's such a lad, and then he just is a pussy.
So he didn't agree to the wish, and the test ended. The answers never came, and the SPR researchers left, never to return. They'd had enough. When Ken tried to follow up with the SPR, he was met with blank stares. They had no record of the investigation, no documentation, no files. When he inquired about David Welch, no one knew who he was. When he asked about John Bucknall, they said he'd left the SPR and they had no way of contacting him. It was as if the SPR's involvement had been erased or had never officially existed.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
2109 began asking Ken and Debbie whether they had discovered Lucas's real name, warning them that if they had, it was extremely dangerous, information that wasn't meant for them. Ken suspected this was likely the reason 2109 had started silencing Lucas, as his messages had become increasingly rare. Eventually, a final message appears, and it is honestly one of the most emotional parts of the whole thing. You can feel how hard it is for him to say goodbye. I know that I mustn't sorrow, but you must know that I weep and am emotional. I find it hard to write. He talks about heading to Oxford now that it's safe and says he's going to write a book about my brothers and maid and the end of Lucas. He hits us right in the heart with this beautiful line. One day you will all sit down at my table for wine and meat by the river in Oxford. We shall read each other's books and laugh. I shall await you in Oxford. Then 2109, in their usual vague but terrifying way, confirms Thomas did eventually write a book, and then he died soon after. But he placed it in a secure place. He wrote it in Latin with the help of a friend that he met in Oxford, and that was that. He was gone.
I miss Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas, Lucas, same people, same guy. He's gone, leaving us with this strange, sad hope that maybe somewhere along the timeline they really will all meet again by the river. Shortly after, 2109 sent a final message. We will finish now. You have a lot of work to do. There is no need for you to write back as we will already have gone. Thank you for your cooperation. 2109. And just like that, everything stopped.
What, is that the end of the book?
Yep. As for the poltergeist stuff, it just sort of stops. There's no big exorcism or final showdown. Once the messages fade out, so does all the creepy activity. Like the whole thing was tied to the communication, and when that ended, everything else calmed down too. And that's how the book ends. No answers. Just a whole mind full of what on earth was all that about. Ken and Debbie packed away the computer, as in the end they had actually bought their own, but decided never to use it again because they didn't want any of this to happen again. They did get knowledge of other happenings around the world that were similar to theirs, but didn't involve them directly. That is, until they were contacted by a German couple called Jules and Maggie, oh my god, Harsh Fishbacks.
Yep.
Yep. They had been communicating with an entity known as 2105, and it had referred to Ken directly. Contact Ken Webster during holidays. Much importance. Tankerjan. 2105. They had no prior knowledge of the Doddleston messages and were astounded to learn of Ken and Debbie's story when they researched the name Keb Webster. 2105 explained Ken and Debbie's experiences with Lucas as an overlap of time of both dimensions. I think that's the most concrete answer we've gotten throughout the entire story, that it's an overlap of both dimensions. Jules and Maggie asked if Ken could try and contact 2109 again, but he declined, not wanting to get dragged into it all again. They had had their experience with Lucas, and that was more than enough time travel for one lifetime. Ken, Debbie and Peter carried on their life as usual, and you can find YouTube videos of Peter speaking about it all. How exceptional it was. You can also find YouTube videos of Gary, the ufologist, but I must admit I haven't watched them as my brain is just about ready to burst after reading through all this. So there you have it. In the 1980s, in Doddleston, something beyond weird happened, and there is no explanation for it, no matter which way you turn it.
It's kind of just a bit
anticlimactic.
Yeah, anticlimactic at the end, and they lived happy ever after at the end. It's a different type of like haunting, isn't it?
My question to you is, if you could ask 2109 a question, what would it be?
Oh, that's tough. I don't know. What would you be?
Is 2109 the future people?
Yeah. Oh my god, guys!
Yeah.
Yeah, no, sorry. But numbers are just not the thing that I hold on to. The future people, I'd ask what the lottery, what the next lottery numbers are, and then I can be rich.
That's such a basic answer, Becky.
Well, I'm a basic bitch.
I would ask them if...
What's she going to say?
Still explaining vaginas and socks. If that theory, if it caught on, that's what I want to know.
I mean, it was a good explanation.
I'd want to know if bee milk has ever become a thing.
No, but cockroach milk, that's where it's at.
Oh, yeah.
We promised not to talk about milk anymore.
We did.
We said no more milk.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Becky. Emma, sorry.
You're welcome.
It's been emotional, to be honest. It's been a long emotional slog for you, I'd say. I would like to ask the listeners what they would ask.
2109.
2109.
But the thing is, nobody would get an answer because they'd just be all like, oh, well, if you have any doubts, give us your soul.
Would you sell your soul to them
no.
to get an answer for the question that you want to know? What's it even mean, sell your soul? Come on, it's not that deep, is it?
Well, no, it depends.
Can I lease it out?
It probably just means that you'll go to hell when you die, doesn't it?
Probably.
Oh, yeah, that just... Yeah,
eternal damnation. Fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm going anyway.
No, you're not.
I mean, I hoover up the spiders. But...
Oh, yeah, true, you are.
Burn,
baby, burn.
Burn, baby, burn. Let's go and burn out.
Yeah. I'm just sorry that was such a complicated story. But if you did manage to follow it, it was very interesting.
Yeah.
It is. I think it is really interesting. And I actually find like time travel and talking to the future, I think that's really interesting.
I'm glad that you read the book.
It was very complicated.
So I really do appreciate the effort.
Thanks for reading the book for us.
You're welcome.
And I loved it.
So yes, if anybody, because obviously there is a lot more information than what I've given you. The book is called The Vertical Plane, written by Ken Webster. Go check it out. Read it for yourselves.
Go on, Ken.
Somewhere the sun shines. Somewhere the birds sing the glory of a new dawn.
somewhere it's spring again. But here it's always Halloween. It's the Rogue Transmissions halfway to Halloween hullabaloo. Rogue Transmissions, an unhinged anthology of indie podcasts, is invading your streaming device to throw a hell-raising halfway to Halloween party. Featuring all of your indie podcasting favorites, including Brew Crime, Chick Lit, Octoberpod, our true crime podcast, Pitney and Amelia's Bitchin' Boutique, Spine Chillers and Serial Killers, Serial Napper, Twisted and Uncorked, and Witches Talking Tarot. It's coming Tuesday, April 29th to this podcast. That's right, the Rogue Transmissions halfway to Halloween hullabaloo is coming to the podcast you're listening to right now on Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. Rogue Transmissions. Rogue Transmissions. Rogue Transmissions! Halfway to Halloween hullabaloo. List of participating podcasts may vary. Intended for external use only. Enjoy Rogue Transmissions responsibly. Void where prohibited.
Right, Bex, go on then. Give us some murder.
Oh, well, are you ready? Are you ready? Today we'll be diving into the terrifying case of Anthony Sowell, the man known as the Cleveland Strangler. A predator who operated in plain sight, exploiting vulnerabilities and hiding his horrors behind the walls of his decaying home on Imperial Avenue.
His decaying home?
Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute. It was just a bit of a slobby house. And then for other reasons that we'll have a look at in a minute. This is a case about pure evil, but also a case about neglect, about a system that failed, about voices that weren't heard until it was too late. Anthony Edward Sowell was born and raised in East Cleveland, Ohio, one of the 7 children born to single parent Claudia Gertrude, she was known as Gertrude, Garrison. So 7 other children belonging to Sowell's sister also lived in the household, so there was a lot of children.
So 14 kids?
Yeah, his siblings, and then 14 of his nephews and nieces.
No, 7.
Oh, sorry, yeah. 7 and 7. His nieces and nephews moved in with them because their mother died following a chronic illness, so they didn't have their mum anymore.
So his mum is a single parent to 14 children?
Yeah, so she's got 7 of her own children and 7 grandchildren that she has to look after. Sowell had an extremely abusive and traumatic upbringing due largely to his mother. According to Sowell's niece, Leona Davis, Sowell's mother subjected them to physical abuse, just like on the constant. It was just a terrifying place to live. Sowell's mother forced his nieces and nephews to strip naked in front of the other children and whipped them with electrical cords. Then, because he was abused, started abusing his younger nieces that were living there, so he started sexually assaulting them at home.
Oh, for God's sake, how awful.
How horrible. As soon as he turned into 18, he got out of there. So on the 24th of January 1978, at the age of 18, he entered the United States Marine Corps. So he went in 1978 and he stayed there until he was discharged in 1985. So during his 7-year Marine Corps career, he received a Good Conduct Medal with 1 service star, a Sea Service Deployment Ribbon, a Certificate of Commendation, a Mysterious Mast, which sounds cool, and 2 letters of appreciation. So while he was in the army, according to...
He did all right.
He seemed to be doing okay. Whether behind the scenes that was the case, I couldn't find any information on it. It was when he came out of the army that he just fell into well, you'll see. He just decided that women weren't anything and they were just there to serve him. So his first known victim was 38-year-old Crystal Doiser, a mother of 7. Again, Crystal had struggled with addiction after the devastating loss of one of her children. life had not been easy for her, and like so many others, she fought her own demons in a world that often turned its back on her. Then, in May 2007, she encountered Anthony Sowell. Sowell had a method. He sought out women he believed that wouldn't be missed. Women who, if they disappeared, wouldn't set off alarms. And for Crystal, in particular, his trap was simple. He lured her to his home with the promise of drugs. And once inside, he raped and murdered her. She was his first known victim, but she was far from the last. For the next 2 years, Sowell continued his horrifying spree, preying on women who'd struggled with addiction, poverty, or unstable housing. He calculated his moves, choosing victims he believed had no safety net. People that wouldn't be missed, or families that didn't have a lot of push with the police. And horrifyingly, in some cases he was right. Many of his victims weren't even reported missing.
Oh, that is so sad.
I know, bless them. But the ones who were reported missing, the police often dismissed their concerns. Just saying, oh, they're off on a, because a lot of them took drugs. They were like, oh, well, maybe they're just homeless now.
They've gone off on a...
Yeah, on a bender.
Gone on a bender.
Yeah, they just wouldn't take it seriously. And the ones that weren't reported missing, unfortunately, had kind of alienated themselves from their family, or sometimes just didn't have a family that were very present enough to care.
Yeah.
But it's mostly because the ones that weren't reported missing, it was because they'd alienated themselves. So as you can imagine, years of killing people and burying the bodies in your garden and around your house can be a smelly business. And for years, the people of the area of Mount Pleasant complained about the smell. It was something sour, something rotting, something that clung to the air. Ray's sausage.
Pardon?
Ray's sausage, which was the neighbourhood's meat shop, so the neighbourhood's butchers, which I love that name.
Oh.
Ray's sausage.
I was like, is somebody called Ray Sausage?
So Ray's meat shop became the prime suspect. No matter how many sewer lines they replaced, no matter how much money they spent trying to erase the stench, it never went away. So they were next door to his house. So, like, right next to all the bodies that had been buried. So it's normal that people would suspect the butchers.
Yeah, it's the sausage, yeah.
You bring carcasses in, they cut up the carcasses. That is still, like, a dead body. So they'd be like, well, they're just leaving it out in the bins. Yeah, but they'd, like, redone the whole sewer line. They'd made sure that they're putting their bins properly, disposing of their waste properly, but it just smelled all the time. But they couldn't get rid of the stench because it wasn't coming from them. So Ray Cash, who was the owner of Ray's Sausage, spent $20,000 trying to fix a problem that wasn't his. He said, this is a quote, "Because we're in the meat business, people assumed it was us. But when they walked into our factory, there was no smell like that because it was always outside. There was no smell inside the factory, inside the shop."
Yeah.
So it wasn't until later on that people found out where the smell was really coming from, and that the fact that their neighbourhood hadn't been inhaling rotten meat, they'd been inhaling the smell of death.
That is fucking gruesome.
I know. Ugh. But we're still stuck on the fact that he's been killing these women, and just no one is looking into it. No one is looking into it. So it's a disturbing pattern, actually, in some true crime cases, that the way that victims who struggle with addiction or poverty are often dismissed, and also if they're a minority as well, person of colour or whatever, or if they don't speak English, often that as well, shoved under the rug. It's as if their lives matter less. But let's ask the hard question. How many women could have been saved if police had listened from the first person that went missing? If they had taken the complaint seriously, and if someone had connected the dots sooner, would Crystal Dozier, so the first murder victim, would she have been the first and only victim? But no, that's not how it happened. It would take 2 more years and at least 10 more victims before Sowell's House of Horrors were uncovered. And when they were, it was unlike anything Cleveland had ever seen. In the fall of 2009, Anthony Sowell had been hunting for 2 years. His victims were still the same profile, but then 2 women escaped. In September 2009, 36-year-old Latundra Billups walked into Anthony Sowell's home on Imperial Avenue. Like many before her, she thought she was there for one reason, for drugs. As soon as she stepped inside, the nightmare began. Sowell beat her, raped her. He wrapped an electrical cord around her neck and pulled until her world went black. But somehow, she ended up waking up. And when she did, Sowell let her go. Why? We don't really know why. We think that he thought that she was too scared to tell anyone. And also, if it's carrying on the same pattern, he just believed that the police probably just wouldn't believe her and it'd be his word against hers. Or maybe he just simply didn't care. And for a time, he was right. Billups would stay silent. Whether it was fear, trauma, or the worry of being arrested for her drug use, she kept the horror to herself. I think she was just truly traumatised.
Yeah, God. Whew.
Yeah. A month later, on the 20th of October, another woman, Shawn Morris, entered Sowell's home. She drank, she did drugs, and she left. But then, on her way out, she realised that she'd forgotten her ID. So she went back inside, and that's when Sowell attacked her. But Morris fought back. She fought so hard that she made a split-second life-or-death decision. She climbed out of the 3rd-storey window and just jumped. Neighbours heard the commotion, and they saw a mostly naked woman fall from the home, and they called 911 straight away. Which is good in these stories because often neighbours was like, well, yeah, I saw something, but I didn't do anything. But at least
I don't want to get involved, yeah.
Yeah, there's a naked people falling out windows, but, it's not my problem.
It happens.
But when police arrived, Morris refused to talk. And just like that, the moment slipped through their fingers. And by the time officers stepped inside, Anthony Sowell was gone. And for a moment there, it seemed like the killer might slip away again. But then, Latundra Billups came forward. She walked into a police station and told them everything. How Sowell had raped and strangled her, and how she thought she was going to die. And this time, the authorities listened, because they'd just had this other case.
Yeah.
They were like, well, actually, maybe people can take drugs and also tell the truth. Yeah. Oh, dear. Between Billups' report and the incident with Morris, investigators had what they needed, and they obtained a warrant to search 12205 Imperial Avenue, where he lived. On the way in, the first things officers noticed was the smell. Even in a neighbourhood where decay and poverty were everywhere, the stench strolling from Sowell's home was unbearable. And when they stepped inside, they found out why. In the basement, they found 2 decomposing bodies in a shallow grave. And in the crawl space, 4 more. Out in the backyard, another 4 were buried like discarded trash. And then the final discovery. A single skull wrapped in a paper bag, stuffed into a bucket inside the house. In total, police uncovered the remains of 11 women.
In his house.
In his house, yeah. Anthony Sowell wasn't home when the investigators searched the property, but the manhunt for him didn't last long. 2 days later, on Halloween 2009, police found him, walking the streets of Cleveland like nothing had happened, and the Cleveland Strangler was finally in custody. But the horror wasn't over. Because of the true scope of his crimes and the disturbing details of how he got away with it for so long, would soon come to light in a courtroom. The horror was finally out in the open, and so was the rage. Mount Pleasant was a neighbourhood that had already been struggling, high crime rates, poverty, and a police force stretched too thin. But it wasn't an excuse. The families of the victims had been reporting their loved ones missing for months, years, and only to be dismissed by the police. The first body recovered from Sowell's home was Tonya Carmichael. She had disappeared in late 2008 after telling a friend that she was going out to run an errand. Her family had reported her missing and they had begged officers to investigate. But as police just saw her as a black woman with a history of drug use, and in their eyes, it meant she wasn't a priority.
Oh, God. Fucking hell. When was this?
2008?
2000?
Yeah. If she was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed cheerleader, it'd be different.
Fucking disgusting.
Her car was found just blocks from Sowell's home, but no one connected the dots. Her daughter, Donita, later said, "People forgot about her, and they dropped the ball." And Tonya wasn't the only one. Rachel Dissel, an investigative reporter covering the case, revealed a chilling truth. So, quote, "Many of the families went to the police, and the police wouldn't even take a report. They would tell them that they were using drugs and they will come back when they're ready." How many lives could have been saved if they had just listened? As the trial approached, the city of Cleveland found itself in the national spotlight, not just because of the horror of Sowell's crimes, but because of how it failed its victims. Police had ignored them, the system had overlooked them, and now the families wanted justice, not just for the 11 women who had died, but for every person who had ever been dismissed because of their past. The city eventually paid out $1.3 million in settlements to the families, along with a public acknowledgement of failure. But no money could undo the damage.
I was going to say, you can give somebody 10 million.
No.
It doesn't bring a person back from the dead, does it?
No.
And in the courtroom, Anthony Sowell showed no remorse. He sat emotionless as family members of his victims gave their impact statements. So, in quotes, "You took my mother from me," one daughter said. "You threw her away like she was nothing. But she wasn't nothing. She was everything." Oh, little love.
That's awful.
So his house was demolished in 2011. For a long time, the empty lot stood as a grim reminder of what had happened there. But in 2021, something beautiful took its place. The Garden of 11 Angels, which is a memorial to the women whose lives were stolen, a place where their names would be remembered and where their stories would be honoured. Because they weren't just victims. They were mothers, sisters, daughters. So in 2011, Sowell was convicted of 81 charges, including 11 counts of murder. He was sentenced to death. For years he sat on death row, filing appeals, trying to escape his fate, but in the end, death came for him anyway. And on the 8th of February 2021, at the age of 61, Anthony Sowell died of a terminal illness in prison. His execution never came. Maybe that was for the best. Maybe sitting in a prison cell, surrounded by silence, knowing he would never be free again, while dying of a terminal illness, was a little bit of justice. So this case is a painful reminder of what happens when society turns its back on those it deems unworthy of its protection. It took years, it took imaginable loss, but in the end, Cleveland had to face the truth. And the question is, have we learned anything from it? Or will it happen again?
I think it will happen again.
Well, history does like repeating itself.
It does.
No, because the human race is just trash.
Sick.
Yeah. There's always going to be bigots, and there's always going to be prejudice and stereotypes, and as long as all that shite exists, then it's just going to happen again.
Yeah. I thought I'd do a serial killer because it is in the title of our podcast, and I don't do them all the time, but...
It is.
I hadn't heard of that. I do like that his house got demolished and turned into a memorial garden. That's lovely.
Yeah.
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 That is nice.
I've seen some pictures of it.
Somewhere
It's
that
nice.
the families
Yeah.
can go.
Are we sure it's only 11?
I think he had other victims that he didn't murder. And that's how he built up to murder. But it's like not very well reported on. There was I watched a documentary about it, and even on that they didn't go into it too much. They went on about his like upbringing a lot more.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's the same story. A lot of them have the same similar horrific upbringing. But there's so many others, and they don't turn out like this.
That's the thing. We blame upbringing, and I'm sure that, like,
I'm sure it wasn't nice.
I'm sure that the upbringing has some sort of
impact,
bearing on why you may turn out that way, but it's not an excuse, because there are so many people in this world that have horrendous upbringings, sadly, and they're not all going around killing people.
Exact.
Just so fucking sad. It's just so sad. But he was caught and he died a horrible death. And good.
Good.
I think what he got was actually better than the death sentence.
Yeah.
I can't imagine end of life care was all that great in prison.
And not in prison, I don't think so.
No. Good. Fuck him. Sick twat.
I know. Horrible.
Yep. Fuck it.
Right, should we go? Thanks, Bex.
Well, that was a mosh. Thank you so much.
Let's go.
You can find us in all the usual places,
Yeah.
friends.
Yep.
Where will they be, Emma?
Details in the episode details.
They'll all be in the details of the episode.
There we go.
If you do want to reach out to us, please do. We love hearing from you. What question would you ask the future? That's what I want to know. I want good questions only.
Yeah, if you have Spotify, you can actually comment on the episode, I think, can't you?
Yeah, you can.
Ask it in there.
I feel like we haven't asked for people's spooky stories or true crime stories.
We want your spooky stories. We want your true crime. It could be fun for us to do a little episode of people's, like, spooky stories.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I would
like
love
a special.
to do that.
We could do a special episode where we just tell your stories. That could be fun.
It would be brilliant. Bex, what's the email, love?
Yeah, so chillers.killers.pod@gmail.com.
We would love to hear from you.
We would.
Yars.
Anyway,
All right,
guys,
then.
stay safe.
Yeah. Don't kill people, please.
And keep it weird.
Au revoir.
Then one evening, Ken happened to catch a breeze. Right.
God, the fucking door just opened. It made me jump. Sorry.
You were so funny. You were like a little old lady. You grabbed your like dressing gown like, ah!
My breast!
Now flash them.
Nothing was seen. It's made me go itchy now.
You got frightened, now you're itchy.
Do you not ever get that? When someone makes you get like itchy?
Yeah, you know, itch fright.
No.
Oh, this is a thing. Shut up.
Okay.
This is a thing.
Sorry, we're all very argumentative today, aren't we?
Oh, it's really itchy. Have I suddenly got nits on my neck?
Oh.
Oh, don't say that word.
Oh,
Everybody
nits.
itch your head. Everybody do it. Right.
Fuck's sake.
Nits.
So the butcher became the prime suspect.
Yeah, of the smell. People are like, hey, Mr. Ray's sausage is not putting his meat away properly and it's going wrong.
You're not washing your sausage.
Not washing. You've got a smelly sausage, Ray.
Oh, Ray. Smelly Ray's sausage.
Cheesy Ray's sausage. Hello, I'm Mr. Sausage. So Ray's sausage, what a good shop name. I love it.
Or raised sausage as well.
Raised sausage is a different type of sausage. Oh dear.